So how do you create a brand that truly represents who you are and the products you sell, as well as building a business that you can scale online? That is what this podcast will help you do. My name is Henry Kaminski Jr., and welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast.
Let me just make this statement loud and clear. Jersey's here, Jersey's here.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast. I'm your host, Henry Kaminski Jr., with my man, Owais Qureshi, back in the house. What is going on, my friend?
How are you, Henry? How was your weekend, man?
It was pretty awesome, man. We had some awesome weather. Went to go visit my father. Had a chill day on Saturday. So, yes, no complaints whatsoever, which I got to tell you, this whole weekend, I was getting super excited to talk about today's conversation about hourly pricing and how big of a bad idea that is for personal brands, coaches, consultants, speakers, folks like that want to monetize their expertise. I said, man, I hope I could pack this in a 30 or 40 minute conversation because I could go all day about this. So real quick, before we dive in, I want to introduce everybody real quick to the Branding on Demand program. I am opening enrollment for this program. This is for the personal brand or small business that needs brand strategy help, that needs some accountability help, that maybe needs some creative direction and wants to leverage my team to help design and build that, from anywhere from social media content to making that easier for your life to creating sales funnels and building those out and helping you optimize those. Or for folks like yourself, always, that just are looking for the strategic thinking part of building and operating your brand. Go check out the Branding on Demand program at Unique Designs with a Z at the end, not an S, .net/branding-on-demand to get access to enrollment and to learn more about that program. So with all that said, let's get busy. So you had some questions for me that you wanted me to share about this topic. And so I'm going to hand that over to you and let's tackle these bad boys.
Yeah. So, like I came into this conversation, you said you were excited all weekend long. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to turn this around on Henry. I'm going to have a little fun with Henry this on a Monday of all things, right?
I love it.
Put him under the spotlight. So, you've talked about it on several occasions, but I thought that this conversation specifically, Henry, was I thought that this was important enough for you to share that story. What was happening? What was life like when you were charging by the hour?
I felt like I didn't have a life, honestly. All I remember is waking up every morning dreading the amount of design work that I had to tackle and knowing that I was getting paid somewhere along the lines of $15 to $20 an hour for my work based on how I was pricing the work. And man, it gives me chills because I think about the 20-hour days I used to put in, not being able to see my wife, my girlfriend, not being able to go down the shore with my friends, and to do the family things that I wanted to do with cousins and so on. I was so busy working and I couldn't afford not to work because I wasn't charging enough. And I didn't have really much of life at that point. And I just remember walking into my kitchen that day saying, is this what I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing? Am I going to be 50 years old designing club flyers for nightclubs and menus and not knocking that for anybody who's 50 that's doing that, but that wasn't in my cards. I couldn't see myself doing that. So I started to really resent my work, and I started to really just self-sabotage, and I really started to just say F you to the world. And the only person that I was really hurting was myself.
It felt like you were just running on a hamster wheel, constant hamster wheel. It sounds like,
and I couldn't get off because it was like, that was like life or death. The minute I got off that wheel, I died. So you're going to run for your life to make sure that you have the money coming in.
Yeah.
And
so remind us again, when, like, how far into your business was this happening?
So year 5. So I did this shit for 5 years, 60 months. I was grinding like this. I don't know. Honestly, always, man, I don't know how I did it. Like, you know, they say, like, when you're in the moment, you don't realize what exactly you're doing, and you're just doing it, and time flies when you're having fun, air quotes.
Yeah.
Man, you know, I think the first 2 years were exciting because it was new, right? I think the last 3 years started to slowly eat away at me. And it hit a breaking point around year 5. That was when I was getting out of that club scene. I wasn't going out as much. Yeah. I was getting older. Business was shriveling up because out of sight, out of mind, especially in that industry. If you're not out in the scene, making your relationships and, you know, giving back, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times my clients would say, you know, hope you come in, you know, otherwise saying, I hope you spend some money here because we spend a lot of money on you.
You're endorsing their business and all that. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And
but, And you bring up something, and I think you should bring this up into your later conversations, is the whole out of sight, out of mind. How does that, how is that relevant to this, to branding and to generating brand awareness in general, right? So the fact is that you personally were not there, frequenting those clubs, frequenting those bars. And if they didn't see you, they didn't personally get to experience Henry Kaminski. Well, guess what? They weren't.
Yeah, my competition was
like someone else. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my competition was out there. They were younger than me. They were, I would say, hipper than me, whatever you want to call it. And they started drumming up a lot of the business, and again, undercutting me. Where it got to the point where I was doing designs for $20, and like, how many designs you got to do to sustain, right? So, Michelle, one of our live listeners, is saying, I hear you. I did the same thing when I was ghostwriting. Even though I was single, I still didn't have the life, and I started hating getting new clients. Yeah, it's just like you start dreading it. So,
what was the mindset, Henry? I mean, what compelled you to even do that in the first place?
Well, I knew, to charge by the hour, or
to charge by the hour and charge that low. You said that you went as low as $20. Yeah. And there's the one that's always stood out to me as one of your stories is when you did a business card, and by the time you were done with that business card, it was like pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
What was happening there? Like, mentally, what was compelling you to do that?
I think I was looking for a way out. And it's like purposely putting your hand on a hot stove, knowing that you're going to get your ass burned, but like you had to feel it. This sounds crazy, but like I had to feel that burn for me to get off the stove. And I felt it. And some people learn in different ways. I have to learn by experience. That's just the way that I learn. I know myself. Right? As I get older, I let other people, I learn off of other people's mistakes. I've gotten a lot smarter. Right? But that was my mindset. And the other mindset was, if I don't do this, I'm not going to have any business. And that was such a lie. That was
Scarcity mindset.
That was not true. That was not true. So this impacted me mentally because I didn't feel like I was of value anymore. And think about that for a second. When you feel your self-worth going down, how else does that impact your life? Right? I couldn't afford certain things anymore, or I was spending on those things regardless, and just to cover up all of that. But eventually that caught up to me. You know, we talked about that. And that's not a good business look. It's not a good way of living life, because you can't hide those demons.
Yeah. That's a self-imposed impediment, man. And you're setting yourself up for defeat in the short term and in the long run.
Yeah, for sure.
So what okay, so then tell us, like, you talked about how that impacted you. What finally, just what was that turning point where you said enough is enough?
Well, this is it's a funny story, but it was the straw that broke the camel's back. Again, I was out there trying to like show everybody how good I was doing. And, people ask me nowadays, like, oh, how's business today? I'm not. So the way that I answer that now, I'm like, this year was kind of shitty. It wasn't a good year by no means. Yeah. And they kind of look at me and they're like, yeah, you're not alone. There's a lot of other businesses out there and that are struggling too. Like, we can't find work, and we can't find people to work for us. And now it opens up a whole nother conversation, which they appreciate so much more than me going, best year ever, man. Living my best life, man. No, this year was kind of shitty. We're about $100,000 less than we were last year. Not happy about it, but I know I'm not alone. But two, it's making me realize I need to step up, or I need to pivot. I need to make a change. And that's why I'm getting into some other opportunities that I've never gotten into before, which are exciting. But I'm not going to lay down. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to throw in the towel. So and that's current. That's what I'm talking about currently. But let's go back. What made me say enough was enough was when I ran out of money and I only had some cash in a safe left. And here's the funny part. I've been hiding. I was hiding it for so long. Me and my wife are watching friggin' Real Housewives of Orange County. And she's watching this guy tell his wife that he's bankrupt and that he has to go through bankruptcy. And I was like, man, if this isn't a sign from the universe that you need to like own this and like tell your wife what's going on, I don't know what is. And that's when I turned off the damn show and I said, Tor, I got something to tell you. My business sucks. I don't know what to do. I'm broke. I got X amount of money left, and I don't want to burn through that. I don't want to hide my failures. I don't want to make believe anymore. I want to fix this because it's the only way I'm going to get ahead. And so thank God I have the wife that I have, because she helped me direct my attention towards getting help. She started pointing out competitors. She started pointing out different offers. She started pointing out different ways to increase my value. She pointed out that it may be time for a business coach. It may be time to get some mentorship. And that was the turning point for me. And that's when I said, all right, enough's enough. I don't want to let down my wife. I don't want to let down my father. I don't want to let down my friends and family. I want to bounce back. We have to fix this. It's not if, it's when. And I really went hard. And I bet on myself. And I said, if there's anybody that's going to get you out of this, it's yourself. And that's, and once I changed my focus, it was like help was coming in droves. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, man, I can certainly relate with that. And yeah, man, no, when you get into that whole mindset of no one else is coming to save you, double down on yourself.
Yeah.
And you truly believe that, man. I mean, miraculous things start happening. And what I love about your story is the fact that your wife came in and provided you with that level of guidance as well.
Yeah. It
Right?
was
So, man, that's amazing.
It was a blessing. It really was. I love what Michelle here is saying live. She says, I wanted to give everybody price breaks. I'm going to talk about that, selling into your own wallet. I'm going to be talking about that later on in the show. Stay tuned.
Oh, man, guilty of that.
Yeah, I wanted to give everybody price breaks to my own detriment until her client said that his second car was a Bentley. You know, and then that was her turning point. You know, I appreciate you sharing that, Michelle, because you realize that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, holy, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? So there's a couple problems when it comes to creating this hourly billing process. I have some clients that were charging $200, $300 an hour, you know, for their consulting. And at the end of the day, they didn't have shit to pay for. They didn't have shit to show for it because the marketing costs money. The admin help cost money. Everything costs money. And next thing you know, they're like, where did that go? Where did all the money go? They have taxes they got to pay, right? So just do the math on, just say you didn't have anybody on your team and you just had to pay taxes on that $200. What are you left with?
That's right.
Right. So, and then next thing you know, she had a calendar full of consulting clients with not a minute to breathe. Very similar to what I went through, but I was a designer. Right. It sucked. Right. So what happens? You turn yourself into a commodity because what are you competing on at that point? Price. Oh, I could find somebody to do it for $100 an hour. That's what was happening to me. Well, you're charging $50. I could do it for 25. I can get it done for 25. Yeah. What are you going to do, Henry? Right? They used to come at me like that, and I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do it for 25. Right? Oh, it was awful. But don't turn yourself into a commodity by charging hourly. We're going to tell you later on.
So get down to the core issue there, Henry. Why was it that you were charging that low? What was the whole reasoning behind that? It wasn't even necessarily just because of the mindset.
No.
But how were you positioned in the marketplace?
I don't think that well, to be honest with you. Because again, I was a commodity. I was doing what everybody else was doing. The only way that I was getting ahead was I was faster. But I wasn't promoting that. I wasn't bringing that up in a sales conversation.
Yeah.
Which
and you weren't translating that. Yeah. And so if let's say if you said, hey, I can turn this around for much faster, and we might be going on a tangent here, but if you said I can turn this around much faster, how would that differentiate you from all the other ones? And how do you translate that into something that's of business value to your client?
Well, I would have to I couldn't just come at them like that. I could get this done faster because it's somewhat of a differentiator, but it wasn't. But until my competitor starts to come up with a faster way, then I'm screwed, right? Then I got to figure something else out. I should have talked about the value of my expertise. You know, you're going to get charged $25 to do this piece, and it may take them twice as long. What's that going to do for your business? Are you going to be able to make print deadlines? Are you going to be able to get the message out there in a reasonable time for Thursday? Because Thursday is the night that you're going to be promoting this piece. You know, what's that going to cost for your business if this doesn't get done the right way? And are you willing to sacrifice that? Like, turn the conversation to another direction, right? And let them speak, right? You don't have to fill in the gaps of silence. Just let them speak and see what they say. With that said, they may say, you're right. You know what? I'll pay the 50. Just get it done. I need it tomorrow. And that was a lot of the conversation later on down the pike. when I started to get some bigger jobs, and those folks actually valued speed and valued the quality and didn't mind paying the premium.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's it. I mean, it all came down to that. So, when, again, we don't want to create commodities out of ourselves. And then the other piece was, it's like when you get better and better at what you do, which that was happening to me as I was getting better in design. I was basically getting penalized to work faster, because if I could get 2 done or 3 done or 4 done in an hour, it wasn't worth my time.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't worth my time. So I was getting penalized for working faster, and I was getting paid less for working faster. And that's not the way to grow and build a business. Right. And then here's a big one that I get. I don't want to trade time for money anymore. And I'm like, okay, well then get out of that business.
Yeah.
Start figuring out the actual value that you are delivering to your client. And we're going to get into that in a second. Well, Henry, I don't know what that is. And, you tell me to raise my prices, but my online identity looks like shit. So I'm embarrassed. I'm scared. I don't think anybody's going to hire me. Why would anybody pay me that kind of money to do that? No one's ever going to pay me that kind of money. So they sticker shock themselves.
Yeah. Right? There's a lot of self-doubt going there. I think that it just needs to be a reframing in their mind first,
right,
before they even move into anything else.
Right. So let's go into attacking how you can start charging more and not by the hour. So the first question I'm going to ask is, what are people really paying you for? At the end of the day, what are people really paying you for?
Yeah.
There's 2. There's the results that you're going to promise and your expertise. Bottom line. So we need to get to the bottom of those 2 things.
Yeah.
Right? Next question. How do you determine the value of what it is that you're doing? You think that's the same for everybody? You think you're going to talk to Joe one day and Samantha the next, and they're going to give you the same exact story?
This is where it serves to know your clients, know the existing, who are your best clients? How do you acquire more of them? Talk to your best clients. Mm-hmm. Ask them how you're generating value for them, and you'll know. Ask them what issues they were having before you guys started working together. Yep. It's going to give you just an immense amount of information to work off of so that you can position yourself differently.
Well, here's a framework that I would recommend everybody use when having a sales conversation with somebody. And you might have to practice this a few times to get more confident in sharing and in asking these questions. But question number 1 to the prospect is, what's one client worth to you in a calendar year? Okay. How many clients do you want to work with in a year? So let's just say for shits and giggles, one client is worth $25,000 for a calendar year. Great. How many clients you want to work with? Just for easy math, I want to work with 10 clients a year, 250,000. Okay. Got it. Now, if you had to place a rough value on this, what would it be? what percentage feels right to invest in this business relative to the potential value of receiving $250K in revenue in the next year? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? What is it? Yeah. Let's just say it's 10%. Okay. So you're willing to spend or invest $25K to get you $250K. Yeah. Look what you just did to the scope of work. Look what you could accomplish with a $25K budget.
25K, yeah.
It changes the game. And then it also makes people realize, oh shit, I can't make major moves with minor effort.
Yeah.
Right? I have to put in some kind of effort here. Yeah. And 10% is on the low side, to be honest. You know, I know people that would spend 50 to make 250. I mean, who the hell wouldn't?
Yeah.
So that's how you determine the value of a potential project.
Yeah.
And that's how you can work with less people and make more money. And that's what I started doing. I would say about 5 years ago. Yeah. Let them paint the value of what it is that you do. And if it makes sense for you to move forward on that project, then do it. If it doesn't, say, you know what? This doesn't make business sense for me. I think you're better off with another vendor, with another coach, consultant, whatever.
Yeah. Look, the pattern that you know, I've developed through your help, Henry, and through so many other development programs, the pattern is that go into each and every single meeting with a blank canvas. Drop all your assumptions. Just because they look like the same client that you may have worked with in the past doesn't mean that they all have the same exact issue. Yep. There might be some overlapping issues, but on the with every single new meeting, go in there with absolutely, with a blank canvas. Yep. With no assumptions at all. And then just, of course, be equipped with some really great questions, just like the ones that Henry was just mentioning right now.
Yeah, it's almost you almost want to talk him out of hiring you.
Yeah.
Because one, it just deflates any of that salesiness that may come about when you're talking to somebody.
Yeah.
And you could do it in a way that's not like douchey. You know what I mean? You don't want to come across like you're not interested in the job. You want to come across like, well, have you tried this? Have you thought about this? Yeah. And hopefully,
get them to call in.
Yeah, hopefully they've done enough thinking about this issue that they're going to tell you why that's not a fit or that won't work. And then you could say, okay, you've convinced me that there's a business case here and that we should do something about it.
One thing that I would add, one question that I would add is, well, how do you think that I can help you? And what is it about me that's making you want to work with me, right? Yeah. Or what is it about our company that's really making you consider us to help you in this particular endeavor?
Yeah. So getting behind the motive, I think, is important. Behind the project, like why are they doing this? I'll give you a quick example. We're in the market for a new door for our house. It's a 30-year-old door. It's withheld some serious storms, but it's time, right? Why do you want a new door was the first thing the salesperson asked. And the first thing my wife said was, it's a 30-year-old door. Like, it needs to go. It's seen its fair share of beauty, like, right? And then there you go. Now the salesperson knows that we want change because it's been 30 years, right? And now he can give us some options based on our preferences, things like that. And one thing I loved about this guy was My wife pointed out a door and he said, I knew you were going to pick that one because everybody picks that one. And it is the most expensive door that I sell. But here's a door that's just as nice, a fraction of the cost. And he actually, my wife said, that's the reason why we're going with him. He didn't try to sell me the most expensive door. And boom. Now it sucks. I got to wait 3 months to get the damn thing because of the supply chain, but we got our guy, right? And just the simple questions of finding the motive behind the project and pricing the project accordingly based on the client. Because to your point, I had a client about 6 years ago. Awesome woman, really, really sharp woman. She was a solopreneur. She was a consultant, and she basically helped people get into franchise opportunities, right? She was doing about $1 million a year as a solopreneur. Solid business. And when she was like, I have no online presence at all, and I need to shape up. And she was another one that she was married, no kids, but she and her husband had a nice job, traveled a lot, but nice job. She wanted to feel like she was contributing to the family, right? And she had a pretty rough upbringing as well, but she was a go-getter. She's already making $1 million a year. When she came into the Brand Accelerator program, she paid the $15K. We did the strategy. And then when I told her some of the options to execute on and to build on, she went for the biggest package. It was an $80,000 package. It was multiple funnels, branding of her name and branding of her entire business, right? If I thought for a second that she wasn't willing to pay that, I'd have been like, oh, I don't know, this is probably like a $20,000 job. But that's how much her business was worth to her at that time. It was just about 10% of what she earned. If you put all the numbers,
yeah,
about $95,000 job. And she was never late on a payment. And she would next day the checks to my house. She was a serious cat. But if I would have treated her like every other project, I would have short sold myself. And I would have short sold her.
Yeah.
I would have short sold her. So there you go. Like, never underestimate, never take for granted that you know somebody's situation or motive behind the project.
Yeah. And two things. What put you on the radar for her to even recognize you?
It was a ClickFunnels thing. So somebody recommended me in the ClickFunnels world and was like, this guy knows his shit when it comes to funnels, and he's a really awesome designer. So she had reached out to me that way. And then I said, yeah, you have to book an assessment with me. I'm not taking on clients willy-nilly. So she paid for the assessment, and then boom, she came in, we assessed the situation. I said, yeah, you'd be a good fit for this. This would get you everything you need. Boom. It was 1, 2, 3.
There you go. And $80,000 to $95,000 engagement, Henry.
Yeah, it was like 4 months worth of work. It wasn't even like a year's worth of work. It was 4 months worth of work.
But the thing is that you did not, you didn't self-sabotage.
No.
You didn't go in there thinking that, oh man, how am I supposed to sell at 80? Who's going to pay me $80,000 to $90,000? Right? I went through this exact same thing. I went through this for 2 straight years, selling myself short, selling websites for, I'm not even going to drop the number, but it's now looking back, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And look, there's probably still a lot of newbies out there and people that are still in year 5 that are still doing that. And that's okay.
Mhm.
But you got to start somewhere. You got to reassess your business and figure out, is your business going to scale continuing in that sort of trajectory?
Yeah.
Is your business going to be able to sustain itself
Yeah.
when you're charging that much? And what is your life going to look like?
Yeah.
Can you
That's
do that? You might be able to sustain right now. If let's say you're just hitting your mid 20s, or you're hitting your 30s, maybe you're just starting out, you might be able to sustain at that point in time. But
what about
10
your
years
40s?
later, man? Yeah.
What about your 40s?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, year 40 for me was like a huge like crossroads for me. I was at an intersection. I was like, what am I going to be doing for the next 10 years?
Yeah.
Is it this?
Yeah.
Or is it something else plus this?
Exactly.
And,
yeah. Same here, man.
And I'm like, holy crap. It's funny when you start to look around what other opportunities are out there. And I was like, well, I've just been blessed with an opportunity that the moons are aligning every single time. And I'm continuing down this awesome journey and see where it takes me. It's going to be, I'm going to enjoy the ride every step of the way. So a couple things I want you guys to focus in on before we wrap up. One is, if you want to work with less people, make more money, give me a shout. Okay. Give me a shout and let's sit down and do a thorough assessment of where you're at, where you want to go, and what's blocking that. And the way you do that, you just go to my website and hit the book a brand assessment, and you and I will sit down and get to business. Okay. It'll also be in the notes underneath this video or podcast. Number 2, focus on the value that you create for your audience, for your clients, and ask them, let them paint the picture. So I gave you an outline, a framework on how to get to that number and get to the motive of why they're doing it. Use it. This is going to help you get your life back. It's going to help you get your time back. And you'll be able to do the things that you want to do with the people that you want to do them when you want to do them. And I don't know about you, but that's why I got into business for myself. That's why I became a business owner.
To be able to do things on your terms, not anyone else's.
Bingo. And if I suck, it's on me. If I win, it's on me. I have nobody to point the finger to.
I love it, man. I love
nothing
it.
Changes.
I want to add something to this. You talked about the fact that now at the age or after the age of 40, you're able to really start looking at other opportunities, and how you were able to develop your business up till this point. And now you're able to capture other opportunities and add additional streams of income. I myself have struggled with that for a number of years. And new ideas show up, new verticals show up, and I can't implement them, primarily because I'm so caught up in either the business itself, or the business itself is not paying me enough. So I'm just making sure that particular business is continuing to churn money.
Yeah.
For a very long time. And I can guarantee you that there's a lot of people that are either in the audience or that are out there right now that are in their year 5 that are going through that exact same scenario.
Yeah.
Their systems are out of place, their positioning is out of place, or is just not there at all. They're being commoditized in the business.
Or the business model.
Thus, their business model is out of place. They're, again, going back to this entire conversation, not charging enough. And all of that has that downstream impact on the fact that, again, they might have these other great ideas that are showing up that they can generate income from as well, but their core business is not working properly.
Yeah. And that's part of the branding process.
Yeah.
To uncover what those things are so that we can untangle them and put something together that's going to make more sense. It's what we're doing for one of our financial advisor clients right now. we're actually tearing down his business to a stud and rebuilding it to the point where we might even change the name of the business.
I love it.
So this is how we're restructuring and reorganizing his assets so he can win for the next 10 years. So I'm excited, and I cannot wait to share with you some of the behind the scenes stuff that we're doing there. So with that said, guys, I'm going to try to keep these to 30 to 40 minutes at max moving forward. So we are at the 40-minute mark. So appreciate you always for those great questions, allowing me to share my story and to give you guys some insight into my experience and what I went through growing this business over 14 years and how I was able to overcome some of those limiting beliefs and some of those self-sabotaging moments in my life that has helped me build a phenomenal business. And I'm happy to announce that I was just awarded a second 2 Comma Club award last week. So there will now
Congratulations, man.
Thank you, man. I'm really proud of it. And even the fact that this year has been not the greatest for me business-wise, that we were able to still accomplish that. Because I said earlier on this year, I am getting another 2 Comma Club award this year. I don't know when, but it's coming. And it came last week. So I'm getting the other one repaired. It fell off the wall. That's why you don't see it behind me. It fell off the wall and chipped the freaking frame. So I brought it to a frame maker, and he's redoing the frame for me. And then the other one is on his way. So you're going to be seeing 2 of those bad boys hanging up, which I'm super, super proud of. So again, man, it all comes down to never giving up and focusing in on what you truly want and not taking no for an answer and figuring out a way to get it done. So I just want to share something real quick here. John says here, knowing your worth and the value you bring is key to pricing your services. You cannot be everything to everyone. Focus on those that could afford what you offer. Yeah. Amen. I couldn't say it better. And Michelle says, you guys are filling up my business notebook. Got to get notes off the page and into my business. Yes, absolutely.
Implement.
Yes. Yeah. So there you have it, guys. We are out. We will catch you on the next one real soon. Have a great one.